Able to ask you. I'm gonna send it to you in a
I
minute.
don't feel like you can ask.
Yep.
Or put it over.
Thank you.
Of course.
I'm so much happier.
Well, and that makes sense.
Did you get something?
Yeah.
Give me a second.
I get it. I get it. Cheese order.
You just got one slide to
Okay.
do, and then we'll be all set, okay?
Yeah, it was. Still warm. That was nice.
I should.
Big tip.
Okay, I'm gonna forward this to you. Okay, here it comes. And it's fixed, okay?
And there wasn't anything else for this page. Content wise.
I don't think so. Do you like what's there? I'm just trying to describe. Got an extra 200,000 for the tuition. I guess we just take out additional information.
What's going on?
That's weird.
And
Save. Yeah. All right, I will remember to take that out, and then I gotta add your.
okay, so that chart will go in.
Yep.
All right. 2 seconds. This here. I don't think I need this anymore. This. That was productive.
That was.
So we'll need minutes for this. But I think all we need is just, we discussed I can do that. Or
Okay.
you
I can do it.
too.
I'm happy to do it.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Oh, and I also, before we close the thing, Laura Wheeler would like to join as a community member for the communications committee. So we think it's great.
Awesome.
And so she can do anything except for Thursday because she teaches a class at Thursday nights.
Okay.
So she couldn't make it tonight because that one particular class, for whatever reason, switched to tonight. We'll call the February 19th Nottingham School Board meeting to order at 6:40. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no community members here, so we'll go past public comments. If anyone should arrive, we can do it at the end of the meeting. We have review of bills and manifests. We have batch payroll 1251-1254 in the amount of $244,913.60. And we have an accounts payable batch, accounts payable 1255 in the amount of $386,880.99. Facilities update, I don't think much has changed.
Everything's on schedule. We have our plan set in place for coverage over vacation with the consultant and E&E to come in and do their work. And following that, Scott has scheduled preventative maintenance with Palmer and Sicard. And the building will be closed. We had an EMC meeting on Friday, and it was determined, and for the safety of everyone, the liability of the district, that the building will be closed over February vacation. The admin team's taking vacations. Those who are not are working remotely, and Jen will be working at the SAU office. I think that covers everything we talked about at EMC, and everything's on schedule. We're pretty darn excited
Good.
and hopeful.
Yes. Okay, so we'll move right into our administrative reports. You can find the principal's report on page 8. Any highlights you'd like to?
Sure, yeah, just a couple things. We are scheduled to hold our PD Day on March 11th. It will be in the building, so that's good. We're gonna have a follow-up session on our executive functioning skills. So it's a follow-up from earlier this year. So it'll be nice for our staff to have that continuity in the PD. We'll also have time for the state mandated suicide prevention and bullying training. So this is for teachers only, and then we do have a couple of early release days, and the paras will take part in that state mandated training during those days. So we'll be covered for those 2 programs. We are celebrating Knights Week this week. As many of you all know, it's been a great feeling in the building and lots of spirit, which is wonderful. And today was dressed as a student day or dressed like an adult day. So we have a lot of great pictures, and people wondering why I didn't dress like a student. I said, I have a school board meeting. I can't go to a school board meeting dressed like a 13-year-old. So that was my excuse. But it's been a great week, and thank you to everyone who makes that a success, especially our guidance counselors, Mrs. O'Brien and Mrs. Wheeler. We held our K-2 concert on the 30th, and it was a fantastic turnout, and thank you to our students and Mr. Tolley and all of our parents for their support. We had a packed house, and the students did a great job, and we're very proud of them. It's not easy to get up there and do that, so it was nice to see. And the last thing I'll mention is that the Nottingham chorus will be performing the national anthem before a UNH hockey game. That's coming up in March 8th. We look forward to a great night. Administration will be there to support our students, and it should be a good time. So we thank UNH for reaching out to us and setting that up. The students are excited, and Mr. Tolley is excited, so it should be fun. And those are some highlights from my report.
Any questions? You excited about the fix on February?
Yes, very excited, and I'm sure it'll all go well and turn over a new leaf, and we're moving forward. So we're happy. So thank you to the board for your support with that vote. We appreciate it.
I think that's really the only way to go on that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All righty, we have the Dean of Students report starting on page 9.
just to highlight a few things, clearly the office referrals, the number of has risen in comparison to the last few years. We did see an overall increase in office discipline referrals really across the grade levels. So it's not necessarily that one really increased, but like the trend line just raised for kind of the whole school. One kind of key part that should be noted is the bus office referrals. That was a huge increase from 6 in December to 28 bus office referrals in January. So that's really a key focus, or has been, following the bus expectations, as well as like focus in the classroom, as always. Some of the interventions included handbook reviews, restorative reflections, using some social stories and appropriate consequences also. And additionally, as we know, like the colder temperatures, our kids were inside a lot. I think that has a pretty big effect on office discipline referrals. So hoping the winter can leave us as soon as possible. And we continue to monitor the trends and have good discussions around them at our MTSSB meetings. The next one is scheduled for tomorrow.
It is funny how it bumps, just tilts from time to
It
time.
does. I've begun to look at more like trends from month to month. I know that at these meetings, I give you just like the information just from that past month. But it is interesting to look back and kind of see the trends and see where our focus should be on months ahead.
You may not be able to answer this, I don't know. I had seen a couple of things about MTSSB, which to me is just a multi-tiered system
Yep,
focused on behavior.
Yep.
Have you heard any rumblings that maybe that could be an issue coming up, or no? Okay.
No, not that I've heard of.
Okay.
I think that a lot of it is like a language shift from RTI being like a response to intervention, which is a multi-tiered system.
Right,
And
yeah.
MTSSB, just like putting a new
Yeah.
language to it.
I just had a couple of people mention that they thought that there could be some concern about it, but I can't imagine why, so. I guess
Some
we'll
of the
just wait.
information that I've seen more recently is just like not looking at just MTSSB, but like making sure like you just look at the whole student.
Right,
So there's the academic portion,
Right.
The attendance portion, the office referrals, and kind of really making sure to look at the bigger picture.
yeah.
Um,
Because it does make sense, because RTI, all these multi-tiered systems, they're all meant to have
similar.
all these pieces, so,
Absolutely.
okay.
And one of the things we're looking at is admin team too, is some professional development. I know that came up in the survey too, is so a need or a request from staff. So that's one of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit more as an admin team too, because we are seeing some more dysregulation among some of our students. So it's definitely something that we want to address. We want to give our staff members the tools and the resources, to handle some of these things too.
Helps everybody.
And
Yeah.
since most of the referrals happen in the instructional area,
Yeah.
it seems to be a
Right.
good place to
Yeah.
dig deeper.
Yep, absolutely.
I think too, and I have said it a few times, just like the executive functioning thing that you guys did with the outreach to the community is
Right.
huge. So probably, I'm sure that's an approach as well, right? Like being able to outreach, so there's not just the support from the teachers, but then the parents at home or community at home.
Right, yeah. Absolutely. That wraparound model is what works best,
Yeah.
when the school and home are on the same page, or at least communicating.
Mhm.
Definitely, yeah. And we obviously reach out to individual families and things like that, but certainly just in a more general sense, in a broad sense, yeah. So we'll be looking to some PD, whether it's we bring in some speakers or things like that. Maybe we can have some parent nights. So, yeah, but definitely I think these are resources that everyone can use from time to time, because, we all face some challenges with it, our own kids or whatever, so.
Is there any possibility of recording them, when the speakers come in? So we could use those for parents who couldn't make that. I know some of the parents that I spoke to at the concert had mentioned they'd wanted to come and they weren't able to come, or some of them were offered during the day and they couldn't make it. So if we could
Yeah.
record them, and because we paid for the sessions, to offer to our parents, like
Sure.
with an in-house password or something,
Yeah.
so our parents could see them, that might be a
Right.
really good offering as well.
Yeah, I know all the materials were sent home from the executive functioning workshops, but there's a difference between getting the materials and obviously giving some of the
Just a thought,
conversation.
yeah.
Absolutely. But it is something that we're cognizant of and looking into.
Sounds good. Okay, any other questions? Good, all righty. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and then we just have the curriculum director report today as well, starting on page 12.
So I'm gonna just kind of summarize some of this too, because there's a lot here tonight to go over. The January highlights, obviously, but something I did want to put out there because we haven't talked about it at all, and I want to make sure that, like I say, here, and people can see it if the kindergarten screening, the registration page, the information page, there's now an actual page on the website. So when you go to under kindergarten, there's a kindergarten registration, you can click on it, and it has all the information about what we do at screening, why we do it. There's some information for parents to help them prepare for it, what you can do over the summer, all that kind of stuff that you get at the screening day as well. But it also has the registration packet that they can just click on and like see all the pieces of it right there. So Ms. Bro and I worked on that, and I think that's going to be really helpful for people instead of having to call, because everybody likes to just go to a website and be able to click and look through it themselves. So I'm excited about that.
This is great.
And then the on-site UNH course did start. Finally, we had a lot of delays, weather and building. It was crazy. The instructor was ill, so we finally got that started. And the second class actually will be this week. They started it last week on Zoom, so they just had to finally do it. But people are very excited about it, and I'm excited to check in and pop in on some of the classes and see how it's going as well. And as far as assessment goes, we did in fact, today I just finished with the last student doing makeups for NEWAS. So we're finally finished, and I'll be able to get data out to the board and results here probably by the April meeting, because I won't be here next month. So, but just looking at what we've got in so far, I know that they do a block party upstairs when they make a certain percentage increase overall. It's great, and they're doing the block party because the kids did so well, and it's made the block party makes a huge. Even Ben today, the student that took his NEWAS today was all excited. He's like, my score went up so much. Like the block party, we're gonna be able to do it, and like so they're all very excited about
That's
that.
pretty good.
It's a big
Very
motivator.
happy about it.
There's a lot of track.
It's a huge motivator. So that's great. And the next part of my report here has the curriculum review and program planning cycle update. And it's the same thing I've shown you before, but I have put some more information in there. I extended it out. So now it goes out to 30/31. Seems like a long ways, but when you think about it's 25, 26 next year, like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So that you can see how like science we implemented last year, 23, 24, and you can see we'll be in a review cycle again in 27, 28. And, we did a 1-year purchase for ELA, and then we did a 2-year purchase. So we're actually in the review cycle again right now, and we're doing a very thorough review. Very excited, actually, of programs that we think we probably will pilot. And we'll be able to pilot them next year and, budget and really have thoughtful input about what we want to do going forward with some fidelity. So, but yeah, you can see the way everything falls right now. We don't have any 2 subjects that fall the same year that need to be budgeted. I tried to figure out, maybe with the reading and writing, we budget. And if we did, but even if we did 3 years, that comes out the same year as science, like it just, so they're going to fall one after the other, but then it'll be a while before we have another huge chunk like that. So we'll see how things go and with science and social studies and UA, but at least there's a plan here is what I really, I appreciate, and I know the staff appreciates having a plan moving forward. what we're gonna look at next. I'm actually excited to dig into social studies because we haven't been able to do that in a while, so. And then the next thing on here was just a Bridges meeting update. And, the minutes from a science meeting is on here. It wasn't actually February 25th. I think that was a typo. Jill sent them out. I think it was February 15th, I believe, because I know that there were some teachers that were out doing a workshop on the SAS questions and SAS testing, which they actually found really enlightening and interesting. But I actually wanted to bring this up because during our math Bridges meeting earlier in the month, we had talked about the reasoning behind having, certain courses being a requirement to take other courses and having them kind of hooked together. And that was happening a lot with math and science in particular. And if you didn't take a certain math as a freshman, then you couldn't get into a certain science. You had to take honors level of each. And it's not as important anymore. There's not as much math in the science courses. And, we talked a lot about that in science. We talked about it in math. So finally, they just decided to bring it to administration and to talk about it. And they've decided that going forward, they're not going to hook them together anymore. So I think that was a really important thing because they also talk about it, in the English and social studies meetings, they talk about the research pieces that they do. And, I think that having all of these Bridges meetings now and the groups talking to one another a little bit more has really made a difference in all the schools just having some input and they've actually made changes because of some of them. So, and it's not just because of, things we ask, it's things they want to do up there too. So, all the schools working together and not just us in CBNA, but all the sending schools. So they're really great meetings. I mean, it's not just, we don't just talk about placement. We talk about a lot of things and are there things that we need to do and change? And so that was a really, I think, a great outcome of discussions that we have.
I can see it later, for chemistry or something like that, but not.
Yeah,
Right
and
out of the
that's even, some of the, if you take honors chemistry, then you have to take honors geometry or, some of the things that were just and it was making it very difficult for schedules to,
Yeah.
for a student to take other things or to do some of the courses that they wanted to do. So yeah, I think that's a
It's
big
good. I
change.
do love the Bridges. They've been doing that for a while, and I really think it helps.
They're fun meetings to go to. I mean, everybody's really happy to see each other, even whether we do it on Zoom or in person. People bring snacks.
Are you able to share what programs, reading and writing programs you're considering piloting for the next year?
I mean, we don't even have like a definite one yet.
Okay.
I mean, we've looked at, CKLA, we've looked at into reading, into literature, we've looked at some phonics supplemental programs, Haggerty and
UFly.
I can't remember if UFlag was one of them.
And then a follow-up, I know that there's the potential of a state programming mandate for reading being considered for you have to choose from this list of programs that's a couple of years out, and just thinking about making sure that if it's a 6-year purchase, and then the state's going to come and say in 3 or 4 years, actually you have to choose this or this. It's something my school's considering right now as we're exploring reading programs too. And I'm wondering if you have thoughts about that.
I mean, obviously it would be, I just think it's a big if.
Yeah.
I think, to base your whole choice on, because we don't even know what programs they might say are the ones but everything that we've been using, all the like the guidelines and everything for choosing even the stuff that we wanted to get samples for and everything, we've been going on, websites that are very, very thoughtful and thorough, and they like outlined all of the different pieces and why they're good and why they're not and what they have and what they don't, and you know, how highly rated they are by panels of experts or whatever. So what we chose, we really did narrow it down, even from a bigger list to a smaller list, to things that are, they're really like proven programs. So I'm hoping that the things that I know that the ones that we're looking at are programs that are pretty well respected.
Yeah,
So I can't imagine that one of them wouldn't be.
Okay, just something, you know, it's something that's on my mind a lot right now. is
Well,
at my
there's a lot
job
going on out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And then the final 2 pages are the school board representative reports that I had them send for last month, and so included them in here so that you would see them. And take a look at those, and they'll be in the board packet. And then I also just handed out the Title I needs assessment survey, and I'll give you a chance to look at that. I mean, you can look at it now or you can look at it later, but I'll probably just send an email out just to get the okay once you've all had a chance to look at it. So I can send that out after we come back from vacation, and send it out in March so I can get that feedback. Because we do need to do a needs assessment. It needs to be done every 3 years in order to continue to get our funding. It's one of the requirements of the Title I program. So once we get in, you know, this survey can be part of that, but it should be a more broad-reaching thing than just, you know, 3 or 4 people sitting in a room deciding what we're going to spend our Title I money on. So I figured this will be a good starting point. We can get some more input, get some community members and staff members and administration, and have a team of people that really spend some time thinking about our program and where it needs to head next.
The state has changed its guidelines for grant writing. For example, we have to put an all-inclusive plan in by April.
Well, no, I think, well, that was last year. This year,
Last year,
it can
yes.
actually be by June 1st, thank God.
So last year was by April.
Yeah.
So they like planning out how we want to use all the grants for next year, and it has to be based on data. So Title I is even more specific just to the Title I program. So this is the survey that Sarah would like to do to get that portion of it done. So we wanted to run it by all of you. So my thinking is, if you have it to look at, if you could send some feedback directly to Sarah and to me, if you CC me, if you individually send it to me, we'll look at it to try to get that ready to go for her, because she needs to send it out to March to get it set. And the first meeting in March, we are both at the national conference. So that's kind of the timeline, but there'll certainly be time to look at it. And I can always, I'll do what I usually do. If one of you sends a comment and I respond to that comment, I'll just send it to all of you to see the comment. If that works. It's pretty basic. The survey is pretty basic to what the requirements are.
Yeah, just kind of.
Yep.
But I do think we still need to, still planning to hit out
Yours,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
overall survey.
Which is totally different than this
Yeah.
one.
Right, sounds good. Any questions?
I have 2 questions. What would you say are the most expensive subject packages that we have to budget for? Would you say it's reading, writing, and math?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, science can actually be, it depends on what we do next time around for science. If we stick with just, because I'm sure we'll end up including 5 in it, because 5 is actually piloting the same program right now, and they really enjoy this Inspire Science. So it would be at least 5, and then K through 4, we'll have to make a decision, because we'll be reviewing what we do, whether we're going to stay with mystery science or we're going to find something that's a little more substantial.
And I only ask that because it seems like we're attempting to budget for $107,000, and we're going to turn around and potentially next year budget again for another large one.
which is why I was trying to think of maybe if there was a way that we could spread them out, like if we only did 3 years,
Yeah,
that would bring the cost down a little bit, and it would put us at 3 years. And if we decided we could just, instead of doing a whole review, do it again then, or, whatever we needed to do.
Something to
But it
kind
would
of break
separate
up.
them out, I know.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it might be something we do need to revisit. I don't like the fact that math and
it's
ELA
two
are
big
back
ones
to back.
back.
And it's
Yeah.
happened because of things getting backed up after we came back from COVID and just, not having the review cycles in place like they were. And now that we did get back on cycle, but now they're back to back, and I don't like it either.
What are the ramifications and what is it gonna look like? What is the impact if the budget does not pass and we are unable to purchase the math programming? What happens?
I find some grant money.
To
I
maybe
mean,
purchase.
some of it is we're gonna have to, they'll have to, go with some of the programs. I mean, there are, free things out there that we can use, but, I mean, they'd have to make up their own lessons, basically, knowing what we know that we have to teach in the curriculum.
Right.
But it would be a lot of work.
So the programs that they have right now they're not gonna have access to get the things they need. That's gonna end because they had a 6-year purchase. So they're gonna have to go out and
They still
Stop
have their
that, they'll
teacher
still have their-
workbooks,
right.
but the
The budget
consumables would be
passes, then-
gone.
so no
Yeah.
consumables for the students.
Yep.
No student workbooks.
So we'd have to try to maybe push things around in the default budget. The problem that we're going to run into, I think, which you say, oh, okay, 1 year we have a default budget. All right, we can deal with that. But the problem is this year, we're comparing a properly structured operating budget, and we're comparing it to last
Strict
year's
sample,
default
yeah.
budget, which is really the prior year's budget with minor adjustments. And so the gap is going to continue to grow every year, but you get a default budget. So it was almost 200 last year.
About 250 last
Yeah.
year.
And now this year it'll be over 400,
450.
and it'll just keep going until it's unsustainable. I mean, it will be unsustainable. So you're going to have to start looking at
And we're in a frozen budget now.
one of the things that, we're concerned because we had a $200,000 infusion of high school students, which is wonderful. People are coming here. They like this community. This is a wonderful community and it has a great school system, and we offer high school choice. But $200,000 pressure on the budget. And then any other pressures that can occur that have occurred. So, and it's funny because we had a wonderful PD meeting the other day. It was really interesting. We were talking about the past, and I found some studies that were done on the school back in, I think it was 2013. Yeah. And so at that time, the focus, the board just said, okay, and everybody was on board. They had already implemented being a pilot school for RTI, and they were moving down that path. But we were talking in professional development about being in the Cine Dini meetings and doing all the things that you do to try to figure that out with the state. And you can see, looking at this report, how different things are now because there's been a focus and participation by the community and all of the efforts put in at the school to put this huge focus on students and student achievement and the programming and everything. And a couple of years of default could almost wipe it out. Get us off schedule with our, 6 years, people say, 6 years, you're paying $107,000 for a math program. Well, once every decade, you're gonna upgrade your documents? I mean, I
Doesn't
don't think
feel like a
that's an
big ask.
outrageous cycle.
I know, when you break it
At
down to 6
$33
years
per
kid,
student.
it's like
Right.
$32 a kid per year,
Right.
I mean, really.
Yeah, and our kids are sought after. The schools that are receiving them at high school are thrilled with their skill sets when they come in. And it's also good for the kids because they're not stressed and strained. They have to leave their comfort zone and go to a different environment and meet all new people. It's not like they're just staying in, the school district they've been in all their lives. They're meeting all kinds of new people, which is good. But they don't need the additional challenge of not having been able to be fully prepared for it if we can't maintain these things. So, but it just hit us tonight, I think, doing communications that, I don't know if it just hits you, but you realize, you can see it, that this is going to be exponential every year. And it's going to get deeper and deeper and deeper.
And those cuts aren't, you can't do that by cutting less reams of paper. I mean, you don't find $400,000 in a paper budget or in a custodial supply budget. There's only one way to find that, and it's not pretty. And that's not a threatening mean at all. It's horrible.
And I did look around at other budgets, while we were preparing things, and you do see that, that is happening in some places, like 2.58 FTE reductions and things, but that does matter to class size, to,
Impacts morale.
yeah.
And it definitely impacts our students.
So that is a worry with the math, because math we've turned around. We went from a program that did not build, the way that it needed to, and this program has really delivered.
We don't have hiring challenges with teachers. And I was recently interviewed for a dissertation, and they talked about the hiring challenges. We don't have that. We're a district where people want to come work. We have some jobs posted, and we're not seeing the influx that we saw last year. We're not receiving a number of applicants because there's a teacher shortage. That's real. But in the past, people want to come. They want to come work here. We want to keep it that way, that we're a place that people want to come be part of, even during the teacher shortage, and where people want to stay, and we want to keep it that way. And that's really difficult. We want to keep it that way. We have high-performing students. We have wonderful staff. We have a great climate and culture.
But trying to pick and choose and trying to figure out what you're giving kids and in their math programming that will be a real problem.
We're struggling to keep our class sizes down as much as we can and meet the building needs. There's a fine line to walk and keep that balance there. We just need the support of the community.
Hopefully we'll be able to get these things done.
I'm very hopeful.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else?
No, that's all my stuff. I know it's a lot of stuff.
Any questions, other questions or thoughts or concerns? All right. I'm sorry. Oh, yes. As always, once you don't have to stay here in the cold tonight. If you'd like to depart, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yes.
I always need you, but you might be able to.
We're good. I know it's a long day.
Yes.
Thank you for everything. Take
Good
care.
night.
Right. If you have questions, I'll ask you tomorrow and email them.
Okay.
Does somebody know how to shut that off?
I believe that I do.
We just close the lid.
It's easier to
There
turn
you
it
go.
off
Plug
than
it.
turn it back on.
There.
Have a good night.
Thank you for
Thank
setting it
you.
up. Thank you, guys. Thank you for setting that up and everything. Appreciate
Done a little bit earlier next time.
it. No worries. See you later. Okay. So then we have the business administrator's report, starting on page 17.
Again, I think looking at the condition of accounts, that template is just really helpful as an overview.
So looking at the estimated unreserved fund balance schedule as of 2/12/2025, this would be the estimate for the period ending June 30th, 2025. It does say 987, but we again have to be mindful that 200 of that is the retained funds, which is a different process.
Correct.
So really, we think it's at 787.
Yep, and that also accounts for filling all of our warrants. The retained funds are the in bold at the top, 200,000 that the board voted.
Do we think that there's anything out there that could be a surprise or anything like that's not estimated yet and encumbered? So is all of the
I never liked that question.
Yeah, I know, it's hard,
It
yeah.
is really hard, but I will say that we are having constant meetings. I had a meeting this afternoon with Jeff, Kathy Felton, and Jeff's his secretary, looking at all of their accounts and their POs and looking to close all of them, as many as possible. So that we're combing through them, and we have been asking every month for that to happen with all the directors. And obviously Jeff would have the most, him as a director, or at least not a director, he would have the most of all his supply lines and all those future accounts. So that's Jen will be working at the SAU this next week because the school is closed. So she'll be working closely with Kathy Felton, the bookkeeper, to tease a lot of those out. So that was my plan to clean. There's a lot that need to be cleaned up, so she'll be working closely with Kathy to tease all those out, to hopefully give us an even better guess at those POs. That had been a problem last year, knowing what fund balance was and what was left in some POs, but that's another way for us to continue to tighten things up and figure those POs out. And it's a perfect time to do it because we can't be in the school and because Bill has vacation next week, so she'll be working at the SAU. Kathy.